Hello and welcome to yet another episode of A Myriad of Chains. So today our friend Alex is not here, but Pandu Sasrawardoyo Decentricity has a special message for us. It's about to get political. So in
Well,
here, because our political views are pretty different, but I believe in free speech for all, I'm gonna act like a total host, and I'm not gonna go for debates. Pandu, you have important things to say. You have things that are within your heart, and you want to say them loud and clear. So
hmm.
say them. I'm here. I'm listening. I'm gonna ask questions.
All right. I'm not wearing the hat as a joke. I'm wearing the hat as a statement. I'm wearing the hat as a highlight of what I want to say. But here you go. I was involved in a lot of pro-Trump organizations since 2017. 2016, I was a Trump supporter. 2015, even I was a Trump supporter. I became active in a lot of the online organizations supporting Trump. God Emperor Trump, the multiple Facebook pages. I was an admin of a Facebook group which had a lot of users, tens of thousands, I think. Did I don't remember if we had ever hit 100,000. It's in the high tens of thousands.
Mm.
I actually, one of the reasons I left mainstream IT in IBM was because I saw what they were doing to Trump. I was actually censored by my own company, which I will not name. I know it's Googleable, but I will not name it at this point. But like I was censored by not by the company, but like by some people within the company for posting political posts. Even though that company's HR actually told me that you can post anything as long as you preface it with like, oh, these are my opinions. It's not the opinions of the blah blah company.
I
Right.
was there, not in the same company, but I was there, and I
I
can
told you,
witness for
right?
it. I can
I
witness
told
for
you
it.
about
Yes,
this.
yes.
And I was so pissed off because I was posting pro Trump messages. This was during the election and after the election as well. And the 2016 election, by the way, I should specify. And I was nearly canceled for it. I was reporting into the US. I stayed in Indonesia, but I reported into like a US team. And someone high up basically took issue with my posts. And she was friends with me on Facebook, took issue with my posts and tried to literally get me canceled and through my manager. And I told my manager, look at your own policy. The policy allows me to say my opinions. There's there is no there's no legal way for for you to specify that I can't have my own political opinions.
Specify. At this point, you were posting this privately. I mean, as a person, not as an employee, right?
Not as an employee. I mentioned within like the actual posts and well, most of the posts. I have to be fair. I posted a lot, but I certainly posted it on my bio. I put it on my Facebook bio, Twitter bio. What happened next was 2017. This was 2017. My Twitter account got a lot of warnings. My Facebook account got a lot of warnings, and I basically got censored by my own company. They told me not to, and I said I had free speech. Like this is something that's honestly it doesn't concern my company. I was a technical solution manager for like a whole region back when I was there. I became territory general manager locally after that.
Mm.
I have the distinct feeling that there is something unfair that is happening, and I was already very like into crypto. Like you know this
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it was already something that I was very passionate about. But then it highlighted very strongly that this way of doing things of being controlled by big tech, and I'm not just saying Twitter and Facebook. I'm speaking about the big tech companies that are aligned with the government, with the world government, with the U.S. government, let's say, that are and not the U.S. government that is controlled by Trump. No, in fact, when Trump was in there, he didn't control anything. He didn't control a lot of things. A lot of the things that's happening there, The Twitter file shows this.
Mm.
There's so many things that are happening that because of this centralization, that because of this acute centralization, it 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 caused opinions to be basically kicked out, and censored, and basically accused of as being invalid, just because they're not pro a certain kind of worldview. And the ironic thing about it is, at the same time, a lot of people were talking about diversity. There's a lot of push towards diversity, and like, the thing is, it's diversity, but without diversity of opinions. And like, even back then, there was a glimmer of, like, interest in actually creating something like Myriad to actually have free speech. But of course, we were doing crypto. There was like a lot of things happening. We were not doing like an actual project yet. We were just doing crypto plus like projects for other people. You and me, Danny, and a bunch of other guys that I shall not name. And then in 2019 and 2020, we okay. Here's the thing: like, if you are watching this and you've never watched anything other than mainstream media, you'll think of me as like that. Like, you probably think badly of me. Like, let's be fair, right? Like, just with the hat, just what I'm saying. But the thing is, back then, I used to be a liberal, and this was like I used to be a far left liberal. I supported Bernie Sanders before people supported Bernie Sanders. I was like, the democratic socialist thing was interesting for me because it sounded so close to UBI, which is UBI started as a transhumanist thing, at least back then. But more and more, what convinced me was actually going to the primary sources, like going to, like, for example, instead of like watching TV and just reading talking heads talking about Trump's speech, or reading articles about Trump's speech, I went directly to Trump's speech. I compared them to Bernie's speech. Bernie is an amazing orator, yeah. Trump's also an amazing orator. The points that they're making, I realized that Bernie's didn't make sense. I realized that Trump's made more sense. And of course, Bernie, Trump, everyone would say that, okay, you're looking at outsider candidates. Yeah, of course I'm looking for outsider candidates, because when I was looking at like the candidates, the presidents, the politicians that are not outsiders, like that are like, coming from the swamp, coming from like dynasties, they were all saying the same thing, and they were not saying the correct thing. I don't live in the US, right? Like, I don't live in the US. I've seen things outside of the US that's like I've seen so many presidents saying things that are like, oh, we're opening friendships with this country while bombing that exact country. I've seen so many two-facedness in politicians. And here's the thing: when I hear Bernie makes a bit more sense, but not quite. And Danny, honestly, Trump made the most sense. And what kills me is, after seeing, like, after watching live a really good speech from Trump, going online, I see people like on Twitter. Many of them were like all of the tweets that are promoted to me are like anti-Trump posts. And I was like, am I crazy? He didn't say this, did he? Or am I crazy? Was this the focus of his speech? Maybe he said this, but like, when he said this, it was within this context. Why is this being taken out of context? Like, even then, there is and this is like, now when I go to Twitter after Elon Musk, here's the thing: I'm not a huge fan of Elon Musk. I think there's a ton of things that he needs to answer for, as well as I mean, he did. I would love to have drinks with him. Don't get me wrong. It's just like, I do have like some issues, but I think he's
interesting character.
He's an interesting character. Okay, so but after Elon, when these things happen, like, the comments on the tweets are balanced. I see people pro a certain issue and anti a certain issue, and it's like, I see both. Back then it wasn't true. Back then it was like, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Twitter, I see only one side, and it made me feel alone. It made me feel like I was just an island, and all around me are like people were like I was the different one. I was nuts. That Trump didn't say those things. Anyway, this actually not culminated, like continued, and like, so I was basically more of like an online activist for a while, and this was, of course, while being in crypto, while being in blockchain, while actually being a consultant. So I'd use a lot of fake names. So yeah, this is like an admission or whatever, but it's no secret that I'm very passionate about this topic, and anyone who's ever listened to me talk about it knows about it. But the thing is, I was also part of basically like the bunch of people who gathered evidence right after November 6th, not Jan 6th, November 6th, 6th of November. The voter fraud, treason, and plot. That's what we called it back then. And of course, a lot of these are questions. They're not things that are like, oh, Biden definitely cheated because of this. No, it's like statistically, it's more likely for Biden to cheat because of this. Statistically, it's more likely. Technically, it's more likely because of the voting machines being this. And we gathered up evidence right after that night in November 6th, when everything basically changed. We gathered a lot of evidence, and there were multiple sites back then. There were a lot of websites actually collecting the evidence. Not a lot of them are alive anymore. Many of them are actually like censored, cut off, and no longer working. I think, but we gathered evidence for months. It was through Discord channels, which is actually a very bad idea now that I think about it, because Discord is like basically 38. I think it was 38% owned by China or something. So it's not really a very good idea to do it. Like, we should have had Myriad back then. If we had Myriad, I mean, that would have been a different thing. But spent months basically collecting the evidence. And here's the thing: the evidence was enough to actually raise it constitutionally as as per the Constitution, like through procedures outlined in the Constitution, raise it as an issue, and stop the ratification of the presidency to Biden. That was true. That happened historically. That has happened before. It has happened. It has happened in a way that is not as bad as like this case. Then do you remember, like, and this is like from like probably a word that's a blast from the past for you, but like, do you remember Enron?
Whoosh, that's a blast from the past.
I know. So Enron was like, for those younguns who don't really know about Enron. Enron was a company that had like huge fraud case. Like, it's the biggest fraud case ever. And the reason the Enron data was questioned. So it's an accounting fraud case. So the reason the Enron data was questioned was within the accounting data. The data didn't follow Benford's law, which is basically the distribution of like initial numbers within a, like, you can Google this. I think you can still search for it, even though it's very difficult now because like some of it has been memory hold. But you can actually search for like, basically, it's a historical fact that Enron was questioned because of Benford's law.
So basically they had numbers in a certain context that should have behaved in a certain way, but didn't according to that law. And that law is so precise that at this point it raised suspicion that the numbers themselves were wrong.
Right. And the thing is, there's another thing that didn't conform with Benford's law, which is the Iranian election. Iranian election also didn't conform to Benford's law.
Talk about another blast from the past.
Exactly.
That one
okay.
was bad.
So when you're looking at the numbers, like, let me share my screen. You're actually looking at the numbers. This looks like this, the Iranian one, right? So Yeah, so this is actually invoked as evidence of fraud in a 2009 Iranian election. So as you can see, this is, if you look at, okay, so Benford is initial numbers. So like the number like 100 is, the initial number is 1, right? 200 initial number is 2, right? And if it's a series of numbers that appear naturally out of numbers, like out of like activities, what would happen is that there will be more numeral ones as initial than 2, and etc. Like, how does it work? There's actually a lot of old YouTube videos, find old YouTube videos, not the new ones, that actually talk about it and say that, hey, this actually works for everything. This actually works for everything. But we don't know why, right? So this actually was the Iranian results. And as you can see, the Iranian results are gray. And number 7, the distribution was enough for a major international accusation. Like a lot of media actually covered this back then. Now, this was Enron. That's 2000 financial data, deemed fraudulent because like it didn't conform to Benford's law. Right?
Yeah.
This is Biden. This is all states. All of the states which have issues where Biden won and there were questions about him winning. This is worse than Enron. No, the issue with this, is right after we broke this. I'm pretty sure we broke this. Our group broke this. I don't know who they are. I don't know who my other friends are. I mean, we were all anons there. I'm probably the only one who's like said it live because I'm not American, so I can basically say this. But we broke this, and what happened right after is all of the documents, all of the YouTube videos, all the analysis of Benford's law either got deleted, got edited. If it's Wikipedia, it's edited and say that this is not a real law. It's it might have inaccuracies. It cannot be applied to elections. Videos on YouTube started, like, used to be when you search for Benford's law, the top results would be about this amazing, weird little statistical quirk of the world. Now it's debunking Benford's law. And those results are the ones that are getting pushed to the top of Google. Everything else is memory hold. So, and I'm just talking about Google. Social media, it became like at one point, and I remember this distinctly, it became impossible literally to Google or to search for Benford's law on Facebook. When you search Benford's law, nothing comes up, even my own posts.
I see.
This is one. This is only one. There's actually a bunch more video.
So,
yeah, sorry.
This is like for the skeptics. I want to take a skeptic break here.
Sure.
Because I'm a skeptic. I'm a leftist. I'm apolitical. But for those who watch Myriad of Chains, they know that freedom of speech is something that I'm really, really, really concerned about for many reasons. Some that intersect with Pando's views, some that don't. But this is why we actually agreed to make a product together. And we are cross-disciplinary, bipartisan, and about a lot of things. So the skeptic break would be at this point in 2018, so a little bit later, after you were censored, by your company, attempt at censorship by your company. There was the Yellow Vest movement, right, in France. And I have a very close friend. This is not the friend of a friend. This is not a story from like the third or fourth hand. This is something in which I was personally involved, who actually created a documentary about everything that was wrong in France, where it originated politically, with sources, with press reviews, with something that was beautifully done, right? He started to get viral on Facebook, on YouTube. On YouTube, it had like 200,000 views. On Facebook, probably 50,000. So yeah, a 250,000 views is not too bad for someone that had before that absolutely no online presence. And all of a sudden, he started being contacted by people, and some people from, apparently, if I'm not mistaken, is from Switzerland, got very intent on knowing his personal details, because he was sending everything anonymously, but he was saying you can contact me there under my anonymous identity if you need anything, if you want to talk about it. And these people were extremely intent on getting his personal details, as in like home phone number, home address, and such details. And we talked about it, and we agreed to block, ignore. But that was frightening, because you don't I don't see why you would ask for the home address of someone based on their political views, or based on the video that they once uploaded on Facebook. So there is this. This is my side of the story from the left, right? Because like definitely the yellow jacket, whatever you want to hear, right? The media make it as a movement from extremists, from fanaticals and stuff. Sometimes this is just normal people like you and I who just want to make a living and not pay €2 per liter when they fill up their cars. We had 3 million people in Marseille a day or 2 days ago, in continuation of this kind of social movement. This is the people talking, right? And this is a social issue. And I was supporting that, and my friend was supporting that, and he found himself on the wrong end of a very suspicious group of people, you know.
Yeah.
So we have like your personal censorship. We have this, and then after what you're saying on that, I'm sorry, I don't have the name of the law engraved in my head. What the name of that law again?
Benford, Benford's law.
Benford's law.
There's,
So this
yeah.
a couple of years ago could sound far-reached, but after the event of the Twitter papers, after what I know happened to my friend, after I've seen other things happen that I'm not gonna list everything, right? But other weird thing happen. Um, the skeptic want to give it at least the benefit of the doubt. Maybe go check the Wikipedia page for modification and stuff like that, because after the Twitter papers, we cannot just go and say, "Oh, this is bullshit. She's salty," or whatever.
Yeah.
We've had the proof that there is a bias. The bias today can be the same as yours. Tomorrow can be the opposite as yours. Think
Yes.
about it.
Yes. That's just it. Here's the thing. Left versus right. Honestly, it's they're driving us apart. It's actually not left versus right. It's authoritarian fascists, basically, versus like individual people. That's it. That's the us versus them. That's sure. There's a lot of things we differ on, Danny. Like my views, LGBT views. Probably we sort of match, but like I might be a bit more like
We agree on most things. We disagree on some details, but
right,
fuck it,
right,
you know.
right. I like the Republican Party, the Conservative Party. I I like them not because of the like for of their social views. That's what I can say. And I do know, like, here's the thing, like a lot of the social, like what supposed social views of the Republicans are not the actual social views of the Republicans. I have a ton of gay Republican friends, for example. I have a ton of I'm not a ton, but like I have a bunch of trans conservative influencers that I really follow because they're awesome. Because they provide me with a clear way of like understanding what the movement actually means. It's diversity. It's true diversity because it's diversity of opinions, and it's not like pushing your will to people, like not forcing people to do what you claim to say. here's like,
Yeah,
okay,
I
so
see
I'm
what.
actually, you know what, like this whole thing was a prologue. What actually triggered me to actually don the hat and actually talk about this today was the revelations that came out from Tucker
Mm.
Clarkson, no, Carlson, basically, um, the new speaker, gave him thousands of hours of CCTV footage, and this is of course in reference to Jan 6th, and going back to like rewinding to the past again. I was obviously basically part of the group that was questioning things during Jan 6th. If my home country wasn't under lockdown, I would be in the US. I would be speaking to people. Like I would actually be there. I would actually cover it. I would actually, demand our rights for this to be questioned. We weren't actually saying that, like we weren't trying to overthrow the government. We were not. And I say we because I was part of that. We were trying to use constitutional ways for the ratification to be delayed. And there were ways to do it. There has been ways to do it. It has been invoked before. All right? And the thing is,
So wait, basically, you weren't just saying like stop everything, redo the election and stuff.
no.
You were saying look at it deeper.
Yes.
Okay.
Stop the ratification because there are questions. And the questions are very clear. There are many questions. You do realize that the voting machines thing, right? The voting machines that were questioned are the same voting machines that were questioned by the Democrats, by left-wing media, before this happened. Years before years before 2020 happened, the left was questioning it, and it made mainstream news. There's a bunch of mainstream news outlets that covered it. Like I actually have a sample right here. I don't know. Yeah, we're not gonna watch it at the moment. I'll play it at the end or something. But there were always questions about the validity of actually having voting machines that are voting tabulating machines because the security is super low. Like there's the video that I wanted to show you is like just like without using any tools, you can actually just access it and plug in a USB or like just change the data. It's super easy, and that's insane. That's crazy, and that what is crazier is when the mainstream media raised it, it was okay. When the left raised it, it was okay. When the Trump supporters raised it, it wasn't okay. It really wasn't okay. And that's the rub in all this. In 2020, when everyone said that Jan 6 was an insurrection, I said it was not. I lost so many friends because of this. I like personal friends who have been friends with me for like over a decade or over 2 decades or whatever, like my childhood friends. I lost them because I keep telling them I'm in the groups. I've seen what happened. They were let in. Okay, so Tucker has actually released the videos, if you don't know, a couple of days ago, and the videos definitely showed three things that went against the narrative. One, the cops basically allowed the protesters to come in. They were walking around. They were walking like those ropes, those red ropes. I forgot what they're called. Like those ropes where you go to events. There's like ropes on the sides.
Yeah. When you're queuing and stuff.
When you're queuing and stuff, right?
Yeah.
They were within the ropes. Like it was like a tour, and cops were walking with them. Okay, and the cops let them in. All right, that's number one. Number two, the QAnon shaman, the shaman, right? The guy with the horns, right? You've seen this.
Like, that dude. Okay.
Yeah, there's multiple videos of him actually walking around with the cops, and the cops even like basically opened the doors for him, like opened doors for him, checked if one door is locked or not. Like it's like he was getting a tour of the Capitol. And
dangerous conspiracy theorist dressed in out.
look at him walking around, and then this is the guy. Look, sorry. See, armed guards just walking around with him. Just calmly walking around. There's one where like he passes like a huge bunch of cops. Everyone had guns, and like look at this one. The cop came first, check if the door is open. Door wasn't open, and he led him somewhere else.
And this one just leaves.
And this bunch of cops, bunch of officers. There's one guy walking through him. He's in prison for 5 years, bro. He's in prison for 5 years for walking around. He was thanking, he was thanking the police officers to allow us into the building. He was literally praying for the police officers because it was so peaceful.
This is a very interesting point of view.
You know what else is a very interesting point of view?
And I mean, as a literal point of view, as a literal point of looking literally with your eyes at things.
Right.
I seen these are interesting camera angles.
Okay, yeah, CCTV.
Yeah. I mean, as in, this is not an interesting opinion. This is an interesting exposition of the facts.
Here's the thing. There's one thing here that I'm gonna highlight. The lawyers were never given these videos.
Okay.
His lawyers were never given these videos. They basically pushed him to get to plead guilty and get 5 years in prison because he didn't have any proof that it was peaceful.
Okay.
And they've always had the CCTV footage. They just never released it. This is unfair, right? Plea bargain, 4 years in jail plus 1 year in solitary for months. This guy.
So are there actual proof of violence from him?
No. Absolutely not. This is Nancy Pelosi's son-in-law. Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House from the left side, from the Democrat side, had a son-in-law, took a selfie with the guy. This also just came out. It's not AI generated or anything. It's real. There's like clear lines of evidence. So that's one. That's only one. The other one involves a death. If you just read mainstream media or watch mainstream media, you'll think that the insurrection was killed 5 police officers. You know what really happened? 4 cops killed themselves.
What?
Months after, weeks after it happened. I mean, did they kill themselves or get suicided? I'm not gonna actually even go there because there's always doubts in my mind about that.
Yeah,
and
let's not go there.
Yeah. Like, okay, so I said 4. They said 5. There's one other guy, right?
Yeah.
Brian Sicknick. Brian Sicknick was allegedly killed due to trauma because someone hit him with a fire extinguisher.
Which is potentially deadly?
Which is potentially deadly. He was walking around until the end of the CCTV footage. No one killed him.
So we're sure that's him?
That's him. We are sure that's him.
So until the end of the CCTV footage, that lasts until when?
until the like the
Until the
place was
protest is
cleared. Like
over.
yeah, until the place was cleared. He was there, and records also show he was drinking at a pub like that night, and there's a bunch of other proof. Like this is actually the culmination of everything because it's video, and this is something that you can't really ignore. But like there are other proofs that like we've been saying that Brian Sicknick didn't die during the day because during the day no one died except for one of us. One of the Trump supporters died, Ashley Babbitt. Brian Sicknick died after, and for things that are unrelated. Uninjured. This is like, and you know what? What's happening was like what's happening like after this actually blew up online. They doubled down, Danny. They doubled down. They keep saying that 5 police officers died. Like reject the evidence of your eyes. Like I have a copy. I have like 3 copies of 1984 here.
Yeah.
Literally, Big Brother is telling you to ignore the evidence of your eyes and giving you like other narratives that are like getting more and more creative. But like here's the thing: take a step back. I'm just pleading with you. First of all, like just follow my timeline on Myriad, Truth and Politics. It's pretty cool. There's a bunch of stuff. It just doesn't have too much subscribers yet, so you're gonna be one of the first probably. But like it's a bunch of cool stuff. A lot of like very very interesting stuff. But like that's one. But like not just Myriad. Do it yourself. Search for things, search for news items, search for analysis, and see how things evolve because things keep evolving. Facts are not supposed to evolve.
So again, skeptic break.
Yeah.
I actually organized once a march in France. We were I didn't organize it. I wasn't at the head of it, but I was part of the organizing committee, and we were 30,000 people, which is not too bad, knowing that we
Pretty
were
good.
like high schoolers.
What? Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. I wasn't really liked by my teachers after that. But in any case, we were protesting against if a drop in budget for a lot of things in high schools, and I got to learn. It was not my first march, neither was it my last, right? And I got to learn how the things work. You have security services that come from different political parties or from different sympathizers. It can be unions, it can be associations. They provide the muscle. The security is on the side, on the front, on the back, but on the back, on the very back, and sometimes within the protesters, you have what we've always called in my time during my time pre yellow vest, we call them the breakers. In French, it's casseurs. Of course, it sounds better. We call them the breakers. These guys are the looters. Like you have, but I think it's everywhere. I think it's universal. Every time you have a mass regroupment of people, as peaceful as you can get, you have a small troop of looters who just want to burn a car too, who just want to break in,
Okay.
to break into a
See
store.
where you're headed with this.
Yeah, and have a fight, with the cops, right?
Okay.
And post yellow vests, the looters disappeared, the breakers disappeared. We had the black blocs, and we had Antifa, and we had this extreme right here, extreme left here, and it was whoever was the current hated political group of the time. Whereas no, it's not a political organization, it's not a group, it's not an organized, it's not an organization. It's just people who want to break things, people who want to see the world burn. And
Anarchists.
Well,
the old definition of anarchy.
Yeah.
Like that, all the connotations of anarchist. Even though like anarchism is actually a legitimate actual political movement, which is
Yeah, not your Uncle Wilson who's gonna talk to you about anarchism at every Christmas dinner, not
yeah, yeah,
him.
yeah, 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 yeah.
But basically the narrative, the narrative shift was completely dumbfounding for anyone who knew the truth of a demo in France, of a protest in France. And that was I'm not gonna say that was suppressed, because but it was drowned. It was drowned in the mainstream
Hmm.
media. It was drowned on TV. It was drowned on Facebook
Yeah.
by people talking about those fucking black blocs that actually don't
Yeah,
exist.
okay, okay. So I agree. Like there are no protests without like these elements,
Mm.
right? Like that will happen. And like even I even Black Lives Matter. Like I know there's a bunch of rioting, and I still think like if protesting to express your opinions is completely valid. I still think that even though I disagree with all of the things they're saying, like about George Floyd back then,
Mm.
I'm still gonna fight for their ability to say it. I'm not gonna fight for their ability to destroy cars and whatnot. But like what I'm saying is, Danny, like there are things that are like incontrovertible, which is basically that the people who are currently in jail for
Oh yeah,
unfriendly Capitol building didn't do anything.
yeah. What I'm getting at there is, for the skeptic, like, beware of the narrative, beware of narrative changes,
Yeah,
because it goes at every level, and it goes for both your parties. For my on my side, it was leftist, the French left suddenly turned into ultra left anarchists who just want to break things.
yeah,
So I saw that happen on my political landscape as well, on my media landscape as well. So whether you agree or not with, whether you want to adhere or not, with what Pandu is showing you right now, take a time to step back, to see by yourself.
yeah. I'm Here's the thing, like yeah, wearing the hat might be a bit too much because you guys are like, just looking at me and looking at bias, but like I started as a lefty. I in a lot of ways I'm still a lefty. In a lot of ways, like things related to like LGBT rights, I'm a lefty. Honestly, like I'm not a conservative at all. I mean, I do have issues with the way like trans people are trying to sort of like
Mm.
bring people to their. I'm not gonna go there, but like there's a lot of
You're for
campaign.
social security, right?
I'm okay with social security if it's done right, but it's really hard to do it right.
It's hard to do it right, but the concept, you agree with it, right?
I'm okay with it.
Universal
Yeah, yeah,
protection
yeah,
and
sure,
stuff.
sure,
This
sure,
is a
of course.
typically left idea, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of stuff. Here's the thing. The thing that I never liked about politics in general is that like it becomes an us versus them. And
Yes.
yeah, of course, this is very us versus them. So that's true. It's become us versus them. It wasn't though. Like when at the beginning, like my point is when this all started, like when Trump declared his campaign, this is literally making America great again. It's what's not to like about that if you're American? What's not to like about rebuilding your country? And yes, it became like a meme connected to like the build the wall thing, etc. But like even the build the wall thing, think about it. My country is like surrounded with water, and like if you try to come in illegally and try to work here, oh, ask Danny. I mean, even Indonesia has like better immigration laws than the US. I'm not kidding. I mean, here's better as in like it's irritating for you. I understand that. I understand that. But Indonesia protects its borders a lot better than the US does. I can in the US I literally see like a lot of illegal immigrants, and that's just like, okay, well, I'm illegal. That's it.
I'm gonna be a smartass and say it's much more difficult to illegally penetrate the territory of Indonesia,
Right. That's
unless
true.
you're a
That's
very
true.
good swimmer.
Okay, that's true. That's true too. A friend of mine, I won't mention his name, but like when we were working together in Bali, like the immigration guys actually just took telephoto lens and took photos of him, like way across the street, working in an office that he was not supposed to work in because his work visa only covered working in another office. It was still in Bali. It was still in Bali, but it was a different office, and they charged him like I don't know $3,000 because of it. Telephoto lenses.
Yeah.
That's nuts. I mean, that's okay. Going back, like, sorry. My point is, we have things we're passionate about.
Yeah.
It might be different things, but I think we are all passionate about the ability to have honest conversations with each other freely.
You know, and beside that, because you're talking about immigration, right?
Yeah.
Immigration is also a very heated debate in France. Because of historical reasons, because of socio-political reasons, because of a lot of reasons, right? And I am actually proponent to letting people from the former colonies get in because they fucking earned it, right? What I'm not a proponent to is having an immigration system that's not supported by a post-immigration structure that makes sense.
Okay.
That's it. And I think that everybody can agree that you and I, for everything, like we are seeking both from our own backgrounds, fairness.
Yeah.
We're seeking for fairness, and there is no fairness when there is no when there is no integrity, when you do things for face value.
Yeah.
Right, and you with your own ideology, me with mine, we're striving to find systems that can give integrity to the measure a country can take to in the end, so the country is fair.
Yeah.
And this is where we meet. And free
Yeah.
speech is part of this.
Free
We
speech
need
is
to
part
have
of
a
it.
dialogue. We need to have a dialogue.
Right. We're headed into something scary, right? First, like digital governance, not just on-chain governance, not just DAOs, but digital governance, and what's it called? Network states. What Balaji said, right?
Yes.
And if you control the network, you control the people, and if you want to control the network, you control the discussions within the network. Right? Like that's the way you do it. That's what a network is, the interconnectivity. And I'd like to share something not related to politics. GPT-4 is coming next week.
Yee.
Which is
or
awesome.
not.
Okay, so I personally love AI. I've been like my actual like when I had to graduate college, my final assignment was actually to create an expert system, which is a totally different kind of AI. But it was an AI back then. It's no longer considered AI per se. But think about it. How do you think? That's the question. How do you think? Most of us think by talking to ourselves in our heads, verbally. Now imagine like GPT-5 or 6 or 7, where everything is vocal and you can sub-vocalize something. It doesn't have to be Neuralink. It can be just a sub-vocal, like whisper something, then get a response back. Imagine that. Imagine how it would basically be very useful. You would be able to know a lot of things just by talking to this like voice inside your head or voice inside your ear, I guess. And it would tell you stuff. You can ask it stuff. It will give you basically what things mean, context. Maybe with AR displays or whatever. Sure. What's the danger in that? The danger is the centralization of it. The danger is the control of it, because like
control of truth.
Control of truth. Now, like we're already getting a taste. Speaking to you is mediated, even though we're on Zoom. Like it's still there's a mediation is there. It's mediated unless we talk on Myriad. Like it's actually mediated. Like I can get canceled on Twitter. I can get like even like yes, Elon, free speech, whatever. But like if Elon doesn't like me, it's still possible, that centralization, right? I mean, there's still an element of like overt control from another party.
Yeah.
But like with this is going straight into your conversations with yourself, because that's the way we treat GPT. We don't treat it like Google per se. Like we use Google only when we need to. This is conversational. We're social creatures. Once we hit the kinds of GPTs that is like truly conversational and is always online, they mediate our realities. And that's
I already know a couple of people who spill their heart content to ChatGPT like it was a friend.
my mom is treating it like a secretary. So I guess that's a bit better. But like still
Yeah.
a secretary for her, like, you know, business deals or whatever. Like I mean,
Yeah,
this is fine.
we all do that. I do that too.
I mean, everyone does that, but like think about it. The data is with Microsoft at the moment, right? Probably. I don't know. I'm not accusing them of anything, but like they have a system that is good enough to understand things. Like they would understand context. They would understand like, oh, this is Pandu. This is like the creator of Myriad or whatever, and like together with Danny, the CEO of Myriad, they're talking. They're planning something for their next, I don't know, campaign. I mean, is that the thing? The thing is, like, I love AI, but like, I think there's a way in a way I like decentralization more, because like general artificial intelligence without decentralization is going to be something that is very scary.
Well, let's say it like this. I had a conversation with a friend of mine who's actually a developer at a big FANG company, and I'm not gonna name the company. And he told me, ChatGPT is all cool and that, but it's an old model.
Yeah.
And there are newer model that could be as good or even better, but no one had the money to put 5 millions a day into a data center. And this is it shut my head. I was like, yeah, who else can do that but the people who already are in control, more or less.
Take it with a grain of salt though, because like honestly, like there are multiple like avenues to get to GAI, and like actually like GPT, if like GPT can actually, because it has like a different, like totally different way of doing it.
The point is, the point is that the 5 million per day is on a data center, right? The cost of it, even if the number he told me, or even if the number I told you is inaccurate, it's an incredible amount of maintenance money that this thing costs.
Right. So here's the thing though, like we already have a bunch of systems that are decentralized, right? Decentralized in the true sense of the world, where like even Myriad like is something that we're developing to be decentralized in both ways, not just crypto but also federated. Yeah. Okay. But point is, the internet itself was supposed to be decentralized. Like I keep saying this because like internet protocols are decentralized, but like it became centralized because there's something called re-centralization. I call it re-centralization anyway. There's a push towards centralization because there are knots. There are people trying to like create like something that's more powerful than others. And like, oh, right now, ChatGPT is like probably the most popular one. So that it's centralized to ChatGPT, it's centralized to OpenAI. The economies of scale makes more sense. That's why, to be honest, I'm the game changer here is an actual world computer, whether it's Ethereum or Near or whatever, but like a actual world computer that is actually, that has all the economic models correct, and is able to sort of like bring this to the fore. Like whatever we create need to always go back to infra. I'm not saying this because I sold infra for a tech company for 6 years, but infra is key. In 2020 January, Parler or Parlay got censored
Mhm.
by their infra provider. Their servers got shut off, and that was when they just reached 1 million users. They basically, within one weekend, because Twitter started censoring, Facebook started censoring, everyone started censoring. Within one weekend, 1
So
million. Everyone
it's
went there. Everyone went to Parler, and they shut Parler down. Infra.
recentralization. Recentralization is a very good word, and I like it a lot. And I'm gonna go also into for everyone to understand, right?
Mm.
It's a logistic thing. If you cannot own the land, then own the roads. If you cannot own the road, then own the gates. If you cannot own the gates, then own the trucks. If you cannot own the trucks, then own the containers.
Mm.
Right? And this is how, because if you have a network of roads, right, even if all those roads are private, all right, you're gonna have at some point someone taking over a part of the network. You're gonna have someone taking over part of, even with a lot of competition. You're gonna have someone at the wheel for the gates of the road. You're gonna have someone that dominates for the transportation, and you're gonna have, and these are islands of centralization within a decentralized system. This is something I apply for a lot of things, like even in business ideation or whatever. But this is how recentralization happens, because when you start with the free for all, first people go for the land, and then when all the land is taken, they go for the road, and so on and so forth.
Myriad is not like that. Like, at least that's not what we designed it for. Like, we designed this like to have like theoretically, for example, like other crypto social networks can be controlled by just taking all of the tokens. A governance attack is very possible. Myriad actually is not just crypto, it's also federated. It's decentralized in two ways, which means you can actually create your own instance. Like, even if we don't agree with your instance, you can create it. You can create an instance where everything in there is like anti everything I just said, like or just shame me. Like it's just an instance of like anything you would like, right? And it's this is different from Discord servers, because Discord servers, for example, are still hosted by Discord. This is something you can host on your own. I don't have it running right now, but like I have VMs actually able to run this on this exact laptop. You can basically run your own instance and get people in and just manage it yourself. There's still an element of crypto because you can still tip each other, and then reputation is still linked globally, and everything is linked with the Myriad token. Logins are still using your Myriad accounts or near accounts or email.
So basically, if you have a whole community of people who want to prove Pandu wrong and make it on their own version of Myriad, they can call like period or Diriad or whatever. They actually can, and we'll be more than happy actually to have them on board, because freedom of speech.
Yeah.
And there is nothing either Pandu or I could do against it, because that's how we built the thing.
Yeah. It could be all just parodies of what we say in these damn podcasts.
True. Well, that would be nice, though. I would like to see a parody of our podcast.
I'll have the AIs do it then.
It's gonna turn me into a fanboy, I'm pretty sure, for
Oh
some
no.
reason.
All right.
Well, let me check. Let me actually check the time, because we've been at it for something like an hour already. It was a very intense, more intense than usual episode, and it just was a more political than usual episode. But, well, I could say this is our channel and we do whatever we want on it. But I would also say this is a most welcome also reveal on the intention and on the concept, on the ideology behind the building of the platform. The fact that you have two seemingly clashing ideologies that come together to build an amazing tool. And of course, as usual, we talked about AI, because we cannot stop talking about AI.
Yeah.
On this, I will wish you a great rest of your day. and stay tuned for the next episode. Bye bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.